Hello, boys and girls. I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, where's Josie? I know, she's not with me tonight, but I'll try to bring her into some of the videos that we use later this week. Right now, though, we're going to be looking at how to find the percent of error and percent of change. Two very important concepts that we use in the real world, especially in the sciences and business fields. So get out your guided notes and your handouts, and we will begin. Hello, Cougar parents and boys and girls. Tonight we're going to take a look at percent of error and percent of change. Please get out your guided notes, which I gave you today in class, as well as, I think the flip side of that has some sample problems, some practice problems to do on the back. Now, percent of error and percent of change. Let's look at percent of error first. Percent of error is the difference between the predicted or estimated, sometimes experimental values, and the actual value as a percent. And the formula that we use for this is very simple. We just find the difference between the estimated and the actual amounts. Okay, so we just subtract the lesser from the greater, and we divide that by the actual or real amount. Okay, so if we have the problem, a man measured his height and found it to be 6 feet tall. However, after he carefully measured his height again, he found his real height was only 5 feet tall. He was off a foot the first time. What percent of error did the man make the first time he measured his height? So we take our two heights, we take the first of 6 feet, and we subtract 5 feet from it, and we put that all over his actual or real height, which was 5 feet. Well, let's subtract here. 6 feet minus 5 feet is 1 foot over 5 feet, and when we do the division, we're going to get the answer of 0.2, and we know in order to change a decimal to a percent, we simply move the decimal point over 2 places to the right, and our final answer will be 20%. So there's a 20% error here with the actual and the real values. Let's move on to our next sample problem in our guided notes. It's percent of change. Now, percent of change is the percent of increase or decrease from the original amount. So that means there can be growth taking place, or there can actually be loss taking place. You can have a positive or negative change in an amount of something. So let's take a look at our sample problem. We have a teenage girl was 60 inches tall at the beginning of the school year, but was 62 inches tall by June. Wow, what is the percent of change in the girl's height? Well, the difference between their amounts, so we find percent of change by finding the difference between the two amounts and the original amount. Well, our two amounts are 62 inches and 60 inches. We're going to find the difference between that, and we divide that by the original amount, or in this case the original height, which is 60 inches. We divide, or I should say we subtract 62 minus 60, we get 2 inches over 60 inches, and when we divide 2 by 60, we are going to get 0.03 or 3/100ths. And 3/100ths, when we convert that to a percentage, we simply move the decimal place 2 places to the right, and we will get 3%. 3% is our answer. So and this is a positive. There's actually growing. Since you're increasing, it's a positive percent of change. So I would say a plus 3% change, or 3% growth. And let's try some sample problems on our own, shall we? You can have at it. Have a good night, class. See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.